All right, welcome back. We are live. We are here on episode 36 of Tech Stocks and Jobs. I am your host, Mr. Rourke. I'm just playing. I'm your host, Tameika Reed. If you don't know who we are Women in Linux. We can be found on social media, everything Women in Linux. But first, let's get into womeninlinux.org, where you can find us. If you want to contact us, you can contact us through Women in Linux. I think we even have, I think there's a contact page on here, and I think our email address is out there as well too. However, less, but if you want to know more about us, you can hit about to find out more about us. But as you also want to do, you may want to connect with us through Slack, which is probably the easiest way to connect with us. So if you hit connect on the website, it's going to bring you to this page. You're going to have to download the Slack app, or have it on your desktop. Drop in your email address and you will connect with us there. There's a ton of information that I do not even talk about that gets posted in Slack on a daily basis. We are not robots. I actually go out and seek this information and post this information. Okay, so just be aware that the information gets posted daily, throughout the day, throughout the night, actually, depending on when I fall off to sleep. All right. The next thing is, if you want to shop with us, I have on one of the shirts today. You can't really see one of the shirts, right? Boom. I have on one of the shirts today, this one here. But if you want more products than just that, you can drop down here and select the product of your choice. Excuse me, and go from there. There are three pages so far, so you can check out the socks, pillows. I actually have one of the mugs right here. It's full of water right now, so I don't want to spill. But here's one of the mugs right now that I'm using. Branding. You see, we're staying on in line with the branding. All right. And as well, let's see, the shop, and the sweatshirts, right? And last but not least, donate. All right, people always say, yeah, you all about money, blah blah blah, woo woo woo. Well, donate with your time. You can donate with your time. You can donate by doing a meetup. You can donate by doing a talk, a lightning talk, 5 minutes. You can donate with saying, "Hey, I found this resource," and post the resource in Slack, right? But last but not least, if you don't want to do nothing but send us money, you can send us money. But you can do that via PayPal, and you can do it on this live stream as well too. Also, get the lights up, and good morning to everybody. Let me give a shout out to everybody who's in here so far. Who do I see? I see Code and Evelyn. Yep, you made it this time. You was late the last one. You was late. I know you missed it, but it's a good show though. It was a good show. Shout out to D for being in the background, and shout out to Tim Serowitz, who was on the show yesterday, where we talked about Kubernetes. We're going to do a deeper dive into Kubernetes. We're probably going to do a deeper dive into all the exams, the CKA, CKAD, the CKS, and the CKD. So I'll probably break down all those exams. It's probably going to be a long stream for me to do that. I may have to do that in a meetup. I don't know. I hadn't decided on that yet, but I want to break those down. Who else is here? I see Kev. What's going on? I want to make sure I'm assuming this is supposed to be G for life, but it looked like IGI, but it's supposed to be bars in between. What's up? What's going on? How you doing? Good morning to everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you're at. I hope you enjoyed your night. Hope you woke up safely. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to get into this morning. Just things I found throughout. Let me say this: the reason why I'm doing the show like this today is because at the 2 o'clock show, we will be having a guest. Yep, we will be having a guest at 2 o'clock. He's actually an author of a couple of books. He actually has his own company. He's on the Azure side, so we're gonna talk a little Azure this morning or this afternoon. We're going to talk a little automation. We're going to talk about authoring books. We're going to talk about a lot of things. He is like, please don't hold me to just tech. He wants to talk about investing. He wants to talk about creating investment funds. He wants to go all over the world. So I'm going to let him. I'm not going to give his name right now because you need to come back at 2 o'clock to come check him out. All right. So let's get into our first one. I got one link up, and then I'll get into my list. This just came across my wire like 5 minutes ago, so I really want to share this. So I don't know if you all are familiar with this group, DCRE, Diversity in Commercial Real Estate. I follow them. They have conferences. They're always doing something. They're always talking about how to get into commercial real estate, kind of like what Tech Stocks and Jobs is about. How do you get your money in tech and then go invest it somewhere else? Also, the IPOs and so forth. So, if you're not really familiar with what we do over here on this particular show, which is Tech Stocks and Jobs, we're talking about, hey, here's the tech behind some of these IPOs. Here's the jobs that they have. Here's some latest and greatest in tech stocks that I see are returning. I try to look at things that return over 10% over a year, right? I prefer 20, but 10 is the minimum that I try to look at for that's returning. And usually I'll find that in an ETF or something like that. The last one that I looked at was BOTZ, but this particular episode right here, it's going to be a little different only because my 2 o'clock show, I got a guest. So I'm trying to combine some things into this show and the 2 o'clock show and this show. So you gotta bear with me if we don't do all tech stocks today, okay? But we are. It's a mix. You'll see. All right. So diversity in commercial real estate job board. All right, so they're looking for, I guess you could say Carthage, real estate advisors. They're looking for a project manager, and Starbucks is looking for a real estate representative and a real estate manager. So those of you that are out there, they're like, well, how do I fit into tech and so forth and so on? There's multiple ways to fit into tech. This is just one of the job boards that I've seen, but there's other job boards that do, especially in the tech space, because again, you have to remember places like Facebook, places like Google, Microsoft, they go buy land. I even brought this up yesterday about the global infrastructure. Gosh, I forget her name. Global infrastructure. I forget what her title was. About going out and handling the global infrastructure for Google with them running the underwater pipes to connect. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, the reason why we're able to get stuff in other locations is because there's underwater fiber lines under the sea, and there's also data centers under the water, right? So these, and I should do a deep dive on this infrastructure because there's actually people that build these underwater data centers and what components go into them. And so the underwater fiber lines are all glass, right? So now we're talking about making sure they're not broken, making sure that we have a connection, and they're heavy. And they also talk about, which gets into a whole nother one, which is, oh man, there's so many shows I need to do. Talks about the logistics of how to get these particular lines ran, and also how to get them to the location where they need to be, and also how to pull them up off if we need to pull them up because there's a broken line or something like that, right? So now you have to think about, well, how deep of how far down on the ocean floor are they going to run these lines, specking out and setting up agreements with the different countries, right? Maybe you maybe in a particular water, right? But one of the big things that came out of the article yesterday, which is another article that actually spawned off of that, was how they're doing in Africa. But so if you're thinking about getting into tech, there are multiple ways to get into tech. We actually discussed this on our live stream on Thursday for 5 hours, right? It was 5 hour stream. All right, so let's get into some things that I consider highlights, and then after we do my little highlights, we're gonna get into quantum computing. All right, so that's gonna be part of today's topic, and it's gonna also talk about the stocks around it. So I don't know if anyone caught this right here. So, like I said, these just highlights, just things that Tam finds interesting. UMass hires a digital forensics firm, right? Keyword: hire a digital forensics firm. The question now becomes: is what is a digital forensics firm, right? And then how what do you use them for, right? For investigating, for going into and finding out who's sending this, and this leans towards cybersecurity, right? A good place here in Tampa to really, I should bring him on. Is No Before. They do a lot of investigating on that. I remember the guy who's the CISO over there, friend of mine. He actually went through and worked on. I don't know if you all remember the Toyota hack and what it took to go into the Toyota hack and how long that took. That actually took 6 months to get resolved, right? So UMass hires a digital forensics firm to investigate racist emails, right? So they're on the campus, and I Deacon post this link so you all can read because I don't want to spend too much time going through this. Just want to make you all aware of just different avenues in tech, and I just wanted to bring this up. Like, so if you're going into security, you don't necessarily have to go into the CISSP, but here's digital forensics. If you are thinking about and what we do here at Tech Stocks and Jobs, but also at Women in Linux, we also talk about Linux and forensics. So there is an actual course. It's an actual book out there, Linux Forensics. I have it on my shelf, but I'll pull it up here. um, right here, practical Linux forensics. Here's the book right here. um and you find it, looks like you find it over here, Pen Tester Academy, but it's let me see if we can get the face of this book. Here you go, right here. All right. With Python and shell scripting, it's one of the books I had. When I talk about when I talk about Linux from the perspective of security is wrapped into it, that's that SE Linux that I talk about. This is also using Linux forensics and stigging and hardening your systems and so forth. This is what I talk about when I talk about when I talk about forensics and security wrapped into Linux. There's just Linux as your baseline, and then so many paths to go. All right. So next up, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but this month is what? National Cybersecurity Month. So, the better way to kick off National Cybersecurity Month than talking about quantum computing, right? I'm going to really drill down into a lot of cybersecurity this month, a lot of AI, machine learning, a lot of quantum computing, just even some blockchain. I got some stuff pulled up for that. Not on this show. I don't think I have it on this show, but I have some information. All right. So National Cybersecurity Month. For those that are cybersecurity or interested in cybersecurity, I salute you. Those that are looking for to start off your actual cybersecurity career, we could talk about it a little bit more if we wanted to, but I just wanted to make you aware it's National Cybersecurity Month. All right. So yesterday we were on with Tim, and we were talking about the CNCF. Let me close this out. Let me close this out. Um, and go here. I take my glasses off, right? And put these on. Here we go. So we can make sure we see everything. All right. So the I posted this job reports in the general channel in our Slack. So if you all want to pull this up, you're more than welcome to pull this up and check it out. It talks about the open source job report, and we got into a discussion of like what people are looking for. So let me blow this up some. All right. Keep going here. Let's see, is that big enough? That looks big on screen. All right. So one of the things they talked about is 2021's hottest skill sets, and it's from three different point of views, right? One is from the point of view of the hiring manager. One is the professional point of view, and the other one is the Linux Foundation point of view. And from the Linux Foundation point of view, 9 times out of 10, they're probably looking at what classes people are actually seeking out, not just from people like consumers, but from what employers are actually buying licenses and seats for as well too. So this is just a good way to look at uh, from different perspectives, right? So let's get into. Let me see. I hope this opens up another page. It doesn't. Okay, that's fine. Let's drop down here. Let me back out a little bit. Uh, 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 uh. All right. So, from the hiring manager point of view, the technologies of most important, the highest importance to open source hiring is cloud and container technologies, which most containers probably not, probably, I want to say, I'll go on a limb and say 80% are probably Linux based containers. There are some Windows based containers, but I'm going to say probably Linux based most likely. And then the second um, thing you notice on here is Linux, followed by network technologies, and followed by security. I'm going to say this, and it's only from my perspective, and those that disagree, you can put it in the comments. But when this is really key important, why I always hop on security first. If you look at this cloud, container technologies, Linux, network technologies, I don't. I don't tell me. I have no idea. This did this the other night. I gotta call the energy company. Man, it's crazy. I know. I know. I'm live. I'm mad. Shuck a ducky. I'm mad. All right. So what I was saying was, before I was rudely interrupted, is this right here is really how I see a lot of people approach security. Like the hiring manager saying this last, like, but that's how a lot of people, and especially in startups, they build with this right here in mind, and then we'll worry about security later. And that's just what I've seen over time, right? We also see where we got AI, machine learning, storage technologies, and edge computing and web technologies. So all these things right here are from the standpoint of a hiring manager. And I apologize for those that with the issues with the internet here and power. All right. So the professional standpoint, they're looking at cloud container technologies, and then DevOps, GitOps, DevSecOps. Really, I, I'm gonna tell you from my own perspective, toss that, right? Toss the DevOps and go with the DevSecOps. Because again, if you get in a mindset of wrapping security into your pipeline, into your daily tasking and so forth, thinking least privilege, thinking how can I make sure this container is okay, following the OCI model, like OCI containers. I don't know if you all are familiar with those. Um, right here, the OCI Container Initiative, right? Following along with this it lets you know who their members are, like who's using that, right? The other piece of that is also when we're talking about from the mindset of DevSecOps and GitOps and so forth, understanding Git flow, right? Git flow. Let me pull that up and we'll get back to everything here. So understanding Git flow, this is a good tutorial here. There's probably a ton of tutorials out here for Git flow. Here's a Git flow cheat sheet out here on GitHub. Somebody has out here. So and then they talk about branching and features and so forth. And there, if you have the O'Reilly account, there is there's a class in there on advanced uh, Git on like squashing and stashing and so forth. So there's an advanced one in there about that. All right, so let me go right back to this research here. Let me see. I'm on the same page. Nope. Yeah, it's this one. Let me go back up because I'm on a different page here, and I want to go here. All right, so that was the hiring manager, and then from the Linux Foundation perspective, and they give an overview here of the hiring manager says the candidates with experience in open cloud technologies have the biggest impact on hiring decisions. 61% of professionals say their organization use of the cloud has increased over the past year. 88% of the professionals report that DevOps practices in their work today is important. So again, I'm telling you, DevOps, DevSecOps. I'm really saying DevSecOps for. I think you lean strong. You have a stronger possibility there. DevOps is great, but DevSecOps really kind of brings it home for especially for those that have never incorporated security in their pipelines. So that's an overview of where we see the jobs at, and this is indicative of what comes through my email, right? What I see that comes through my email. So that's how I see that. All right. So let's go on. The next one was, and I'm being that I want to come here and let's talk about this. All right. So this is I found this interesting. Something that we actually if you came over from before the billions, you would understand why I find this very interesting. I find this very interesting because we were talking about how to look at a job in its total comp, right? And what that looks like. should you take the job that's offering the 160 and then they're offering incentives after that and so forth and so on? Well, here's the thing now that companies are doing. Instead of waiting 4 years, they're going back and redoing. Companies like Coinbase, Lyft, and Stripe are turning over a new leaf when it comes to this. So instead of doing the 4 year vesting equity grant for new hires, these companies are offering 1 year, right? So they highlight in here, like, what does that actually mean for you, and what does that mean for the employer? So for the employer, it means they don't have to give up as much equity, investing over time, and then for you, you don't have to be there 4 years in order for your full investment of with that job kicks in, right? Because like we said, who's to say you may be there for 4 years? You may get with a company and be there for 2 years and then get a better offer with better equity, and you just like, I'm gonna take that. Well, you leave money on the table because two ways. Because one, you don't get the investment that you were gonna get from those 4 years, because you got 2 years left on the table, and then your other potential earned income. So you potentially losing money several ways there, right? Uh, oh, we don't have Comcast, but yeah. So that's just one thing. All right. So here's another one that we want to discuss. Uh, when we're looking at these jobs, right? And I go into this with negotiation on another one. It I agree with looking at the whole totality, but again, you need to make sure that you're going to be there for those 4 years, right? The average person right now is moving and changing jobs every 2 years. So that's not from me. That's from Dice. That's from that's that's from all the other sources, right? So it is what it is, man. The internet, man. The power just switched off, and boom, here we are, right? Yep, that's what happened. All right, so I if you were on the stream on Thursday, you got a chance to meet Rod from Red Hat. It's a long stream. I'm not gonna lie, but it was some key things that he said in there about Red Hat, and this came across my wire this morning. And there was this. Here we're talking about diversity and inclusion at Red Hat, and I just want to point out some statistics that I found in here. Uh, why focus on Red Hat Asian heritage is the saying largest Red Hat underrepresented group in the U.S. So forth and so on, right? But I want to keep going. Let me see where's that thing. I should mark the page, but I didn't. So you gotta forgive my scrolling here. It's the year 2055. That's what I'm looking for. I think they're supposed to be the largest immigrant group by 2055 or 2025. Don't get me in the line. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. Right here. The Asian American population is projected to become the largest immigrant group in the United States by 2055, right? And that's including Pacific Islanders and so forth and so on. And so this is over at Red Hat. But what I did want to also point out in here was at Red Hat, this is what Rod was talking about: Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity Build. Uh, they have they're getting together doing a joint workshop plan for both Asian and Black communities, Native and Indigenous, joint representation on loss of Indigenous identity, neurodiversity, mental health week, diverse abilities, pride, women leadership community. They actually have at most conferences, they actually have a women in leadership conference. I mean, not conference, but luncheon, or they have a women community in which is inclusive of, hey, leadership or whatever. You get a chance to meet different people from different backgrounds and get a chance to talk, and then military veterans, right? So I just wanted to point that out because that kind of goes into, not kind of, but goes into and emphasizes what Rod was talking about on that day. All right, so enough is enough of that. Let's get into quantum computing. All right. So with quantum computing, I need to bring on some people that I know that are computing not certified, but have their PhD in quantum computing, right? So IONQ, I talked about them earlier this year, right? We talked about them earlier this year. IONQ, when we're talking about it, is expected to begin trading October the 1st on the New York Stock Exchange as IONQ, which was yesterday. And they went public at 600 million. What's these? IONQ expected to go public with excess of 600 million. Let's see what they got down in here. Do they talk about their worth here? No, they don't talk about. I don't. I know we. I need to look and see what they did yesterday. Let's go to Yahoo Finance and see what they did. Um, let's see how they opened up. IONQ. Right, $9.20. They started out at 10, dropped. Kind of look like they leveled off right here at four at $9.21. Right. So what is so special about IONQ? Right, Tamika, why do we care about IONQ? Well, it is now, and again, people have been doing research and doing quantum computing forever. I'm going to talk about your IBMs and where they're at with IONQ and so forth. We're going to get into that, right? So when we're looking at IONQ, IONQ is quantum computing has the potential to change the world. There's even talk about what IONQ, and you can search this on YouTube. Will IONQ beat out from the perspective of Bitcoin? Like, how will it be faster? Right? Will it be faster? All right. So here, the world's most powerful ion quantum computing, featuring a capacity of 32 qubits. And I should go and break this down for you. Let me go break this down. Uh, and I have a list in here, but I want you to see it. I, I did a talk on this in 2018 on quantum computing and DevOps, where and actually it should be DevSecOps, where quantum computing and DevSecOps meet. And I can show you some jobs out there about this, so you can get a full picture of what I'm talking about. So let's do quantum computing. Quantum computing, and let's do images here. Where they break this down. Is that a good one? Doesn't look like it. I'm looking for the one that shows the qubits of quantum computing, and I forget the name of it. So here's the qubit they talk about here. I had to pull up my diagram. Superposition. I had to pull up my diagram. I had to dig when we go into this. There's another. I have another link in here that talks about it. All right, so here we go. All right, so I hope this doesn't give me what I want. Anyway, this is talking about what's the difference between classical computing and quantum computing. Calculates the qubits, and that won't go away for some odd reason. There we go. Which represents 0 and 1 at the same time. They're showing you over here, whereas in uh, inside of, I don't want to say binary, but it is binary. Inside of classical computing, we have transistors that either can be 0 or 1. In quantum computing, they can be 0 or 1 at the same time. Here they're showing that power increases proportionally to the number of qubits, where here power increases with in a one-to-one relationship. So here we're exponential versus here we're just steady over time. Here's on is the exponential curve. And quantum computers have high error rates and need to be kept ultra cold. So again, power behind that to keep them cool. Classic computers have low error rates and can operate at room temperature. And it says, well suited for tasks like optimization problems, data analysis, and simulations. And here it's just mostly just our regular computers are mostly everyday processing and so forth. So you're typically going to find quantum computing centered around your medical, your health. we're doing analysis. I wouldn't even be surprised when we're talking about space and quantum computing, when we're talking about um, not just space, but logistics and so forth. When we're talking about that, being able to take, the longitudes, what's going on, analyzing it, um, and that gets into machine learning and AI, right? So that's from that perspective, right? Um, and again, you can look at IONQ. I will put it on a watch list, because I'm with the information I'm about to give you. You may change your mind as whether or not you want to invest. So here we go. IBM has been doing. IBM released a cloud platform 5 years ago, to talk about, if you want to use quantum computing for what have you. They also have what they call the IBM Quantum Network. This is for your Fortune 500 companies. You can see academic institutions, national labs, and startups that want to come in and use a quantum computing platform to do analysis on stuff. A good case for using quantum computing would be what happened with COVID. All the information centered around 2020, to crunch those numbers, to pull that in, to scrape that stuff off the internet, sort that out, and start using quantum computing. I see a good roadmap for that. Here, let's go over here and look at explore possibilities. Oh, that's a video. Let's go here and look at the roadmap here. And it says IBM's roadmap for building open quantum software. You can get access to this platform now if you're interested and want to and play with it. They talk about what quantum computing is. They talk about back in 2020, and I'm not going to dive into this because there's so much more I have to talk about here. But I want to highlight this. We expect developers to work in each three key segments, laying out the groundwork for those working higher up the stack. At the lowest level, quantum kernel developers. I talk about kernel developers. I talk about embedded systems. We talked about IoT devices, right? This gets into what I'm talking about and what I'm seeing as our next wave. IoT devices and edge is now, but it's still time to get in where you can make your money, if you want to look at it that way, but not just make your money, but have be a master and have longevity in it. All right. At the lowest level, quantum kernel developers are creating high performance quantum circuits with time and impulse level controls. Quantum algorithm developers, we talked about algorithms, rely on these circuits to develop groundbreaking quantum algorithms that might provide an advantage over present day classical solutions. And finally, quantum model developers apply these algorithms to real world use cases in order to develop quantum models for chemistry, physics, biology, machine learning, optimization, and finance. Those that are in the finance field, you best believe that somebody is using quantum computing in the finance. So this gets into fintech as well too, right? So again, you have to understand the technology and how that technology is tying back into these companies to create startups, to create the workforce, and also these actual um, research uh, and companies also steer colleges as to what type of curriculum they may have to start adding in, and also steers community colleges as well too, right? So that's just one aspect, right? So here, let's look at this. Do, 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 do. Drop a one and let me know if this is making sense to you, if you like it, or you're like, hey, Tamika, this doesn't make any sense. Just drop a one. That's how about that. Just drop ones. All right, so I went and looked up some jobs over at IBM. I am also gonna look up some jobs over at some other locations as well, so you can get a chance to see what's going on. But here we have let me pull this up. We have a quantum compiler developer. Uh, we also have um, a IBM Quantum Government Hub lead. We also go to the next page. We have undergraduate developer return, summer intern. So those of you that have kids and trying to figure out where you should be focusing them, that are like maybe in college or even now, right? You know, start talking to kids now about just various roles inside of this. But here's quantum full stack developer databases, any location. Let me click on that so you can get a gander to what they're looking for here. So, as part of IBM Quantum Team, you will contribute to the prototype test of new technologies of the world as talented full stack and database developers. You will, with a multidisciplinary global team of architects, designers, and developers at Quantum Cloud in IBM's Quantum Cloud software. So what they're looking for you to have is develop applications to interface with Postgres database instances, clear documentation, database setup, and architecture. Develop and write procedures for backup, disaster, and recovery. Ensure database achieve maximum performance and availability. Design indexes. Configure, monitor, and deploy replica sets. Upgrade databases through practices. Create roles and users to set their permissions. And set their permissions. Where necessary, you provide recommended tools and services to improve and manage the environment. And they say USA, Toronto, and Ontario. Required here degree in computer science or equivalent or equivalent work experience. It is not required, it's just equivalent work experience. 8 years of relevant experience, with the last five being full stack and database development, understanding the agile software development, object oriented programming, C++, Python, etc. Dev cycle. They're talking about software development life cycle. Here, ability to quick up Postgres, experience with MongoDB, unstructured data here is what we're talking about. Develop and design database design and architecture. Experience with hybrid cloud, Microsoft Azure, AWS, or GCP. There are partnerships between these quantum computing labs and research, because they're cutting edge. Because we're not using it every single day per se, like you're at your fingertips. You're probably using more AI and machine learning at your fingertips. Experience with shared sharded clusters, not shared, sharded clusters, right? Um, and we'll get into sharding in one of our meetups. Knowledge of best practices and design. So, it goes on. Here they got some things they would love for you to have: Elastic Node.js, Redis, DevOps automation tools such as Ansible and Puppet. Again, you see a recurring theme here with DevOps and DevSecOps, just a recurring theme here, and test-driven deployment, right? So that's that job, right? We'll go to the next one. Let's see. There's that. There's also that, and then I want to let me go to my email. So let me pull this up. Do do, and we'll do this real quick. Um, Let me find it. Oh gosh, let me look back here. There is a role right here. Let me just type ops. Ops. Did I miss it? Oh, here we go, right here. All right. They got a cloud DevOps. There's also one for quantum on here. Shoo-doo-doo. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. One other place I'm gonna look. Hold on. Cause I just wanted to show it to you so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. I think I sent that to someone. And let me look. No, I don't see the link. Anyway, they have a quantum computing for DevOps position for the United States, but they're basically for that particular position, they're looking at creating and understanding how to create pipelines, how to interface with the API of the cloud, understanding how to interface with all uh, with a multi-cloud strategy of quantum computing across all Amazon, GCP, and Azure. Uh, how to handle those workloads, how to onboard customers that want to use quantum computing, walk them through understanding how to set up everything, uh, and explain what quantum computing is. See, we got some stuff, some information here. Let's see, aren't companies going to require you to have a PhD in applied mathematics, probably 15 years experience? No. That's why I want to go over the jobs. It's the same thing with IONQ. Uh, don't think that these companies aren't working together to talk about these things. So these are not going to be requiring you to have a PhD in quantum computing in order to get into this. And I just showed you that as well. So no, that's not where they're at. That's not what they're doing. And this right here is a quantum full stack developer. And I dropped down here degree in computer science or equivalent work experience, right? So nope, that's not where they're at. All right, so next one up. Um, is what is quantum computing? All right, so quantum computing harnesses the phenomenon of quantum mechanics to deliver a huge leap forward in computation to solve certain problems. IBM designed quantum computers to solve complex problems today's most powerful supercomputers cannot solve and never will. And it talks about why do we need quantum computers, where are quantum computers used, why are quantum computers faster, why do quantum computers work, and how do I use them. So again, we always are why do we need and where are computers used, where are they used at, right? So they dropped me down here 2017. They've been working with clients and partners to solve problems like a new generation of electric vehicles that use a quantum battery technology, reducing atmospheric carbon emissions using quantum computing aided discovery materials, searching for Higgs events and origins in the universe. And they have a case from CERN down here as a case study, right? So again, they're just showing you different technology or different ways computing can be used. And we can go here and Diamond Chrysler and talk and look at this. And this is probably the EQS. Is that it right here? What we're talking about here that look like the Mercedes EQS, where we're talking about this at. I'm gonna mute it, but I'm just gonna kind of let it play. Yeah, that's that EQS, right? That came out with from Mercedes, and quantum computing in that. Again, your computers, your car is a computer, so don't be surprised if you have AI or machine learning in your computer. It's already there, right? All right, so here we go. Let's go to our next one. Let that this thing. So let me get that. Yeah, I think I'm switching. Oh, no, I'm not. Hold on. That's in the wrong place. I'm coming back to that. It's in the wrong place. This. So, um, September the 15th, this came out. Eyeing opportunities, investors are looking more closely at deep tech. This still wraps around quantum computing, right? This is what this goes into. But there's big money being thrown at this, a quantum shift, right? Um, Here they're talking about how over time from 2017, 2018, so in 2017 we saw 215 million. Then now in 2021 we see 728 million being put into quantum computing from investment funds and VCs. Why is this important? Because now is you're starting to see that deep tech again. um, I, I don't know how else to say it. IoT, AI, machine learning, even with crypto as well too. You're going to start to see uh, quantum computing on the back end. Is this a niche market? Absolutely. But is it a long term market? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just one of the ones where you're just like COBOL, like we were talking about yesterday with COBOL. You're just gonna be one of those ones that's the dinosaur that's just gonna be around for this, right? All right. So that's what that is. All right. So um I wanted to drop down here and show venture funding in robotics, right? Went from in and this is quantum computing and robotics wrapped together. We went from 4.3 billion in 2017 to 8 billion in 2021, right? So you can see this the $1 billion market. This market right here is in a million, so it's time to get in and you can play catch up, right? All right, so let's go down here and look at the companies that the investors are investing in right here. So PSI Quantum, Zandu, I guess you could say that, Quantum Machines, and Pasquale, I guess Pasqal, are some of the companies there, and there's some more companies sprinkled in here. D can drop the link if you're interested or whatnot, but just be on the lookout of what we're talking about, right? And you can look these companies up, right? Put them on a watch list. I don't think they IPO'd yet. Put them on a watch list to see, where they're at. What series are they in? Are they in A, B, C? Being an accredited investor. That's why I always push everybody being able to get to 200,000, so you can make some investment into some of these companies, because if you click on some of these links, they'll have investors. They'll ask you, if you're worth a million, or have you sustained 200,000 over the past 2 years, including the year that you're in, as your income, right? So there's a couple of ways to get to be an accredited investor, and this is what I'm talking about. Maybe you don't wait for an IPO. Maybe you invest prior to before they IPO, 3 or 4 years prior to that, right? So that's what I'm looking at, right? So let's now get into this company. There's a link that I have up, but I want to look at this company here. This company called Hydro. Um, Hydro is with Lizzo. Justin Timberlake invested into a fitness tech brand that's called Hydro. Basically, it's a rowing machine. Um, and they have a rowing machine start at $22.95. They have a monthly membership fee for the rower at $38 a month. So it's a rowing machine. I think Kevin Hart, he invested in this as well too. He has Heartbeat Ventures. He has a venture capitalist fund as well too. So again, what people are investing into and what they're doing. So, but again, let's go look at Hydro. Right? Let's go look at Hydro. Roar. Let's go look at their website. All right, that's the roll machine. Right, and then let's hop down here and see if we can find. I think I talked about them before. Let's see if we got some careers down here, and what are they looking for? See, general careers. All right, growth and compensation, fit family culture, full benefits and vacation and PTO. All right, so they're looking for a senior Android developer, a senior iOS developer, a VP of software engineering under the engineering part. They can be in Boston or remote. They're also looking for experienced production assistant, a travel coordinator. On the hardware side, they're looking for embedded systems engineer. Keep seeing that theme, right? Marketing, operations, product, hardware program manager, senior product designer, and strategy, senior analytics data engineer. Senior Director Sales and Channel Analytics, and Senior Director Strategy and Business Development. And as you can see, that I mean the they are a hardware tech fitness company, right? And then I guess you could say an app as well, because they need an app for, to spirit competition, to keep your results, to track your results, what's going on, heartbeat, whatever. What did you do the last time, so forth and so on, right? So that's a little bit about them, right? And who's investing in them, right? That is Hydro. You could probably look and see. Let me look. Let me see if they got a Hydro IPO. Let me see. No, it's but they're valued. Yeah, they're set to go public. That was in June. Uh, to explore going public at a valuation over 1 billion. Right, a valuation over 1 billion. Let me go here because that came up and blocked. Let me see. Did they go public yet? Doesn't look like it. It raised 25 million last year and 20 million the year before. So that company is Hydro. Um, don't see a ticker symbol. It says Hydro also sells heart rate monitors, yoga accessory, headphones, and more, and named Kevin Hart as the creative director in October. He is the creative director for this one. So a branding, I hear branding. I hear he probably got some equity in this particular company. If he's named creator, I'm sure he asked for it, and he's under Heartbeat Ventures as well too. So um, you're probably gonna hear more, kind of like on the Nas thing, that he invested. Yep, Kevin Hart, the actor. Yep, yep, or comedian, however you want to look at it. He has a venture fund. All right, Transfix, leading the next generation in digital freight platform, right? They're being publicly traded. Transfix is on the path to transform the highly fragmented $1 trillion total transportation and logistics sector. Um, they're talking about here the transaction provides up to 405 million in gross cash proceeds. In addition to 340 million cash in trust, G Square is leading a commitment of an incremental 60 million under fund purchase agreements, plus 50 million under G Squared's forward purchase agreement to backstop redemptions from G Squared Ascends Trust, G Squared's trust. Anticipated transaction close in first of 2022. The combined company will list shares on a New York Stock Exchange as TF for Transfix, right? So now let's go look at Transfix. Here we go here. Transferx.io is their website. Their ticker symbol is TF. Uh, so here you can look shippers, digital brokerage, Transfix Drop, Transfix TMS. Carriers, they have this little bit of the same thing, resources, and then again, investors. But they don't have, I don't see where you can click on and say, hey, I want to invest. You probably have to find somebody to try to invest in them. Well, you probably call them and ask, right? So digital brokerage. You click on this link. We don't believe in transactional relationships. We understand that the industry, your business, and we can succeed together. Let Transference show you reliability, capacity, true rate pricing, dedicated support, real time visibility, actionable data insights. They talk about their technology and their metrics. They talk about the different core carriers, the types of trailers, or I would want to say machines to use, dry van, reefers, drops, flatbeds, hazmats. Um, And then they also talk about your supply chain is unique as challenges. Our suite of customized freight shipping solutions will tackle the most complex problems and integrate your existing workforce seamlessly. And then they go on to show the routes, what your performance and so forth, uh, leading brands that trust transfits, and they have their stuff here and who and what is under here. So again, transfits ticker symbol TF. While I'm here, let's go look at jobs. So let's go here, careers, and I'm sure they want somebody full stack. I'm sure we're gonna see some of that. So we have data, and we have engineer. Now, whoever designed this part right here, I can't see this until I highlight it, right? But if it is, yeah, that's not hot. All right, so hit engineering, full stack, boom. Engineering manager, software engineer for finance and invoicing, software engineer for data integrations, and then an engineering manager. If we click on data, data scientist, data warehouse, economist, and manager, advanced analytics and business intelligence analyst. And if we go corporate IT support specialist and director of corporate IT, right? Let's go finance. Strategic finance associate. I just want to see what they were talking about. And then those that are into project or product, I should say just product, they're also looking for a product manager, a product support specialist, and so forth, right? Get it, make keeping up with what the customers want, right? Let me see if we got any questions. Prison C, yep, go ahead and study there. They have those rowing fitness out here in Texas, very popular. Okay, yep. All right, so uh, if you were wondering what their tech stack was, I found that they're exclusively in AWS, but there's actually an article on AWS blogs on how Transfix is building the future of trucking with AWS plus SageMaker, Amazon SageMaker, and artificial intelligence, and they go into what their stack looks like right here, what their transference looks like with real time freight quotes, and they have that, and then they go into a little bit more down here in the video as to about it. So if you want that information, D, if you could drop that link so for people to have that for Transfix. And I also already showed you job, so I don't need to show you that one again. So let's go on to our next one. It's called Printix. Printix. Let's go here. Hope I said that right. Sounds like it. Hope it comes up. Don't get blocked me. All right. Printix to merge with Hong Kong tycoon Adrian Chen's. This is in a spec. All right. So Printix has an enterprise valuation of 1.25 billion in the deal to take it public, according to a statement Thursday. The special purpose acquisition or SPAC is raising 120 million to support the transaction. Investors in the private investment in the public equity. That's what it is. PIPE. That's what that stands for. Private investment in public equity. Aspects, PAG, Lipo, Dragstone, and Zen Capital. So let's go look and see what Printix is. Awesome. Printix. All right, so here's a slide share for them. Let me open that up. Let me see if we can find their site. Let me see something here. Big data predictive analysis. Let's go through this right here. That's not right. That's somebody else. That's not it. Did I type it wrong? Forensics. All right. I wonder if they're not being. Here we go. Why you can't pull them up? All right. So, bring health closer to you. We did decentralized health, diagnostics, prevention, personalized care, rapid diagnosis. Here's the health pod here. What is the health pod? With technology developed at the University of Oxford, Circle Health Pod is a rapid molecular Yeah, is that molecular detection system for all infectious diseases, starting with COVID-19, followed by influenza and STDs in the near future, in approximately 20 minutes. Oh man, that's gonna be good for dating, huh? That's gonna be good for dating. coffee, coffee, and coffee and health, right? No need to sit up here and try to pretend, right? Right? Hey, drink, get this water, sit down. Let's do the little prick here. You do your little prick. What we detected that you have X, Y, and Z and such thing. We can't continue this no longer. All right, so rapid COVID-19 tests. It says Princess came into international fame as companies providing, COVID-19 tests to all 20 clubs at the English Premier League. Um, Genomics. Our two consumer DNA testing brands, Circle DNA and DNA Fit, were developed with the mission of empowering people to improve their health through deeper understanding of genetic blueprint, um, cancer screening. Coloclear is the only stool DNA screen testing for detecting colon cancer that is approved by the National Medical Products Association. Coloclear tests for colon cancer by identifying abnormal DNA and traces of blood in the stool, and precancerous polyps and colon cancer can cause, right? Then personalized care, and then that's their mission, right? Let's go down here and look at careers, cancer screen. Oh, they don't have one up here. This is what I find about these companies like this right here. You have to be on the inside, right? Let's go over here and look at company. Let me see if they got something over here. Here's their leadership, but I don't see nothing about careers. And then investors, investor presentation, press release. And then they got more investor stuff. They're, yep, 1.2 billion evaluation, right? So there you have it. Prentice, Prentics. I'm gonna slaughter this. This is gonna probably be uh, Pagaya. That's what it sounds like to me. It's a U.S. Israeli fintech company set to go public in a SPAC worth 8.5 billion. Uh, the deal will result in a gross proceeds of $288 million in cash, held in a blank check trust, and 200 million in private equity and so forth, and shares. So I'll go look them up real quick. I won't read all of that because we're coming up on one. Let's go look at that. Make sure I spelled that right. Pagay. All right. Enabling better financial outcomes for our partners and their customers. Building and leading artificial intelligence network to help our partners. They talk about how it works. Right? So customers approach our network partners with a need for a dream. Our partners leverage our network to unlock better results for their customers. Pagaya provides centralized artificial intelligence and data solutions that enable better financial outcomes for partners and their customers. And then let's go look at their partners. Don't have a list here. And then let's go look at their careers and open positions. Um, and so here's Tel Aviv in the U.S. I'll stick with the U.S. here. Let me see if I can get this page pulled up here. Director of Real Estate Construction, Single Family Rentals. It looks like it's almost like sound like a fund, a hedge fund. Director of Reporting Credit Cards. That's on the commercial side. On the executive side, executive assistants, and on the finance side, and then on the innovation side, they have a director of partnerships, institutional sales, legal, operation head of funds and compliance, the partnerships, people recruiting, research and data science team lead. They're based out of Boston. Senior data science, and then no role that fits your background. Send us your resume, and then technology, IT support engineer. Right. So it looks like the build of a fund to me. Right, and it looked like they're planting base here in the U.S. to build as well, New York and L.A. Right. All right. So the next company up is we want to look at is Forge. So Forge is set to go public, a $2 billion merger with Motive Capital Corporation. Forge its mission is to create accessible, liquid, and transparent private market. Forge operates a leading global private securities market with technology that is transforming the global private market ecosystem for investors, private companies, shareholders, and employees. Let's go check out Forge. FinTech Forge powers the Allo Labs Alliance, a consortium of community of mid-sized banks on behalf of its members, right? And then in here they show what banks that are in this. Here in Florida, we see Capital City Bank and Center State. Nothing here, and but you see just different little mid-sized banks that they're in with this particular for Allo Labs Alliance. So let's go look at this. We can just take this part off and hit that. Forge ideas into results. We can look at their team here. You can see a common theme, but hey. Uh, and then let's go look at jobs. Drop down here. Do we have anything down here? All right, let's look up fintech. Let's look up fintech. Forge. Let's see Forge fintech careers. Here we go. Okay, they got data design, Forge Solutions, investors, operations, product strategy, technology, and engineering. Looking for a DevOps engineer in Denver, Colorado, San Francisco, California, director of marketing, principal analytics engineer, senior RPG gamer, RPG programmer, full stack with .NET. You can see they got different levels, so they're on .NET is their full stack. And director of tech marketing, technology, and data analytics. Let's drop down here. Let's see. Recruit, onboard, and manage team of analysts and engineers. Work with vendors and data science, data warehousing, marketing, web, build, CRM, and email marketing. KPIs, build and design, analytics layer of our teams, data environment, integrate third party data sources. Here, Power BI, Looker, Postgres, experience with business intelligence products, 10-year experience of analyst and analytics engineer, ETL, SQL, so forth, and so forth, right? You can check them out. You can check out their jobs as well too. And I think we're coming up on our last one. I hope. I hope. I hope. Let me read the comments. I want to read the comments. Yep, they sound like a hedge fund. Yep. Oh, you threw me on your Discord. Okay, you're welcome. All right, cool, and I appreciate you. Packable, a leading technology LED e-commerce marketplace enablement platform. That's a lot. Announces a merger with Highland Transcend Partners. Combined company expected to have a pro forma enterprise valuation of 1.5 billion, with an implied pro forma equity of 1.9 billion, right? The pre-IPO investment anchored by top tier institutional investors from Fidelity, research company, Lugard Road Capital, Luxor Capital, Park West Asset Management, and Morningside. I need to get someone. I know a couple of people. We need to get on here and talk about building an investment fund and hedge funds. I got a couple of people in mind that we can bring on. I gotta try. I gotta get them in sync in line with a good time to do that. Right. All right. So let's go look at Packable, um, and check out what they're doing. I don't see a link on here, so let me go. I think I was trying to find them the other day when I was doing this. But we'll type in Packable IPO and see if we can get their uh, website. So um, here, Amazon top third party seller in the U.S. plans to go public via SPAC. The e-retailer Packable will go public. The Carlyle Group, I talked about them last week. Remember, I keep telling you, look at the Carlyle Group. They have, I think, the article that I saw, they have set aside $990 billion for investments for Q4, and you need to be on the look. You're gonna hear more about them. Packable is parent to Farmer Packs, the top seller of third party on the marketplace based on customer reviews. Carlyle Group invested in 250 million in them in November. Um, and I got to see if I can find their website. I'm gonna come back to it. D, if you can look up their website, that'd be great. Let me go on to these other ones. Um, right here, my last little two links that I had. I just showed you this one. That's a nice look. Anyway, uh, it says here which VC backed companies are going public via SPAC this year so far. This came out on September the 30th, which was yesterday. Well, not yesterday, 2 days ago. So I'm gonna jump down here to the list. All right. So SoFi went public in January, 8.65 billion. Acronics Semiconductor, 2 billion in January. Back it, and I'm gonna kind of get down here to the bottom so we can see what the last few were. I don't want to go through everything. I just want to go over the last few. Polestar, we talked about them. 20 billion. Transfix, 1.1. Uh, I guess Go Row, 2.35 billion. And all these companies, you can go look and see what kind of jobs they have, and see what kind of not just the kind of jobs they have, but their technology stack. I always try to get you to look at the technology stack, because that's going to keep your skill sets up. That's going to give you the longevity, and that's going to give you the ability to go wherever you want. Remember, you have to treat yourself as if you are a company, you are the solution. When you arrive, you can have the ability to go anywhere, create your LLCs, take your tech skills, and then start contracting yourself out. You know, these we were I was on the call. We was on the call last night before the billions, and we were talking about how some of these the guy, he's in Arizona, and he was like, he's in cybersecurity, and he's saying he's getting people calling him for cybersecurity as a contractor at 200 to 300 an hour, and he was like, he can't turn down the work, and he can't take on all the work. And I'm just telling you that the work is out here. You know, you can use these companies to get your skills up. Always be learning, always be focusing on what it is that you need to uh, be I don't want to say be the solution. I just want to say be aware, right? What's going on in here. And I hope you see when I bring you this stuff, what's going on, where technology is flowing. You see how logistics is training is changing. You see how the again, we still hadn't gotten to the space junk talk. of all these satellites being launched into space, humans going into space, the mission to Mars. What does that look like? Space Force moving to Huntsville, Alabama. What does that mean when Space Force is moving to Huntsville, Alabama? What does it mean for uh, your social life in Huntsville? What does it mean for your housing and your rental? What does it mean for food? What does it mean for making sure everybody has something to do, right, to drive, gas. I can go on, but when we're looking at this, it's the same concept that you would be looking at in Austin. Austin ran out, the inventory was low, so they're looking for people to come in and build and buy up land and so forth. So again, when you're looking at these things, don't look at it from a perspective, I'm just going to go work there. You have to look at it from the perspective of what skill sets am I going to acquire while I'm there? What skill sets do I bring when I'm there? And what skill sets am I taking with me when I leave, if you decide to leave, right? Here we go. Pagaya, 8.5 billion. And here's the investors there. Here's Peter Thiel. That's why I brought up Forge. 2 billion, right? And I did a talk, I did a whole breakdown of Peter Thiel, how he made his money. I forget what episode that is, but I broke down how he made his money. I went through, I think I probably spent like 25 minutes on and breaking down how he made his money, right? And what he's investing in, and how he invested in it, uh, behind PayPal and so forth, right? We talked about that. Aspiration Partners, this was in August, 2.3 billion. Greenlight Biosciences, 1.5 billion. And Leafly and Fin Excel, Open Space Ventures and Jungle Ventures. I'm just curious. Fin what is that? Jakarta. Okay, I was like, I know I never heard of them. All right, here we go. Here's their website, right? .co. Yeah, I know I had never heard of them. All right. All right. I think that's it. I got through everything. Sorry for the delay. I hope this has been like the most information you probably ever got. But it's more. I mean, like I say, I have shows written out already on stuff. I am going to go back and do the quantum computing breakdown. I am going to go back and do the CKA, CKD, and I do need to get um uh the investment fund, how to set up a private equity fund. What does that look like? What does entail? Again, I keep pushing everybody, like, let's go, let's get to the 200K, let's go, what we need to do, where you at, where you want to be at, right? Some people are already there, but on your channel, just let me know. Um, um, oh yeah, 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 yeah. We've been around for a while. We just been hiding, right? We usually do meetups. We started doing a live back in January just to test it out, see how we like it, and here we are. Uh, Adele, thank you. Linda D, good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No problem. Thank you for hanging out. Coden, Evelyn, appreciate you. All right, and everybody else who's here, let us know. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Uh, Really big show at 2 o'clock. I got a lot for that one. We do have a guest, but that show is gonna be, you're gonna like that show. You're gonna like who we're bringing on. I try to highlight. I try to highlight uh black authors, right? And when I say that, I'm saying that from a tech perspective, right? I had started a list years ago on who, when I flip open my books, right? Who am I learning from, right? I try to, I try to get those authors their flowers. So that's why we had Vladimir on, right? Vladimir Vivian. He's written 2 books, right? 3. He doesn't claim the third one. but he's written 3 books. But one of them he doesn't claim. He's like that was garbage to him. But it's so it has been written, right? But I try to bring on authors so you can go buy their books, right? Learning technology. I would love to get Brian Fox on, who is the creator of the Bash shell and Linux. I would love to get more of our authors. I would love for us to write more books. So that's why I bring us on, right? When you go to Coursera and look at who wrote those classes, who are you learning from? Like being authors of the book, right? Is and you got to understand this book doesn't just exist in right now. It exists for forever, right? So keep that in mind. Yeah, yeah, bring them on. We need everybody, right? Well, I just need people to make money. I don't want us to be at the bottom of the total pole. I do not like hearing us that the average salary for a man is 40,000. The average salary for a woman is 32,000. That just doesn't make sense to me. When I know we can make, I just read off nothing less than a what the other one that was probably the lowest was 660 million. I just rattled off stuff nothing less than a damn near billion on these companies, and we're arguing over 40,000 and 32,000. I don't have time for that. All right, catch you at 2 o'clock.